Hi, I want to address inspections and condition of the premises as far as the contract goes and how things work in our area. This is one of the things I do to help educate buyers with the process. Probably one of the number one hiccups that can happen in a transaction is regard to inspections and repairs and problems with the property, and also probably the thing that I field the most questions on. So I want to put together a short video and explain a few things particularly unique to our area and our contract. Keep in mind that you can always have an attorney make an amendment to the contract, or even use a different contract if you feel comfortable with that, and we'll talk about that. But with our most commonly used contract, this is how we do things. So just wanted to dive right in. I want to make some clarifications real fast too. One, appraisal and inspection, two very different things. Appraisal is going to be something that usually if you're getting a loan, the lender is going to require you to pay for. That's just to make sure that the value of the property matches what the purchase price of the property is going to be, or that it's at least that amount. The appraiser is not necessarily going in and checking plumbing and inspection and electrical and HVAC and structure things and things like that. Depending on the loan, they may have certain criteria, safety issues that they're looking into, but their job is not to inspect it. So two very different things. The second thing, very important and unique to our area, because I know this is different in other areas, there's no point of sale inspection. So many cities and municipalities, counties require a point of sale where the government comes in and inspects it before the sale, and then requires changes to be made or those repairs to be made of the seller. Not the case. Not at all. If a seller doesn't want to do something, they're not required. There's no governing authority to make them do it. Now, depending on the contract is a legally binding document. So there's things in here that are checks and balances and do require things of the seller. But ultimately, there's no governing authority also coming in and doing that. So there's not that to fall back on. Well, if the seller doesn't do it, the city's going to make them do it anyways. Not the case. Every so once in a while with wells and septics, there is a little bit of that, but generally speaking, that's not going to be the case with everything else. And if we're going to do wells and septics, be looking at houses out in the more rural areas, we're going to have a deeper conversation about how all that works. Disclosures in the state of Illinois, the real estate property disclosures is for current known issues. I know in other places it's you have to write any problem that has ever happened with the property, any repair that you've ever done, and then submit that to the buyer when you go to sell your property. Not the case here. It's only if it's current and known. So if the roof leaked and the seller has believed that they have fixed that leak and it's no longer leaking, they don't have to disclose that. If the basement has leaked in the past and they have made a correction or believe that they have made a correction solving that issue and don't believe that it's still a current issue, they do not have to disclose that it leaked in the past. So just things to be aware of, just things to know. I really want to make sure that my clients are educated on the process, the expectations, and just how things go here in our local market. Number 4, conditions. And so this is what I want to dive in on the contract here. There's a spot, and I actually have it on the screen here. I'm kind of circling it with my cursor, where you select the condition that you're willing to take the property in. There's as is with no inspections. If you're a contractor, you're going to gut it and redo it, and you've got a strong stomach for any risk, that's probably a good one for you. But probably most people aren't willing to do that, but some are, and that's a personal decision, and we can discuss that. The next one is as is condition with inspection. So you can do inspections, but if you read the fine print here, it says that the work cannot exceed more than $2,500, and we would have to get quotes to prove that. Now, what happens with that? Once it reaches $2,500 in repairs, that doesn't necessarily mean you're responsible for the first $2,500. That doesn't mean the seller then is required for everything after that. It just means we go back to the drawing board and we negotiate those repairs. It means that you have the ability to submit a repair amendment if we find out that repairs exceed that $2,500 mark, and kind of go into negotiations there, find out what's important to you, figure out what we want to ask the seller to repair. We can also change that $2,500. We can make it $1,000. We can make it $5,000. Whatever we need to do to get the job done in order to secure that property for you with the initial offer. But then that also does provide a protection for you, because with the inspections, we're going to do a part 2 on this. So this was part 1. I'll wrap up in part 2.